Hey everyone, and welcome to Food Stories. This is your host Larry Fournillier. Just before we went live, I heard something very funny in my ear from George Sepich. Anyway, this is the tempo of the show. As you can see, it's going to be a lot of fun. And we are going back to Chef Rachida because this is part 3 of a 4-parter with artisan bread making. And today it's all about the dough.
Okay.
She's going to show us how to fold it, how to prepare it before you bake it, and all that good stuff. But before we get into Chef Rashida's kitchen, where I believe it's snowing outside, she's in Washington, D.C., let me go and introduce the rest of the folks in the peanut gallery. To my left, which would be you guys' right, we have Aslan Bloor.
Hi, Larry.
Hi, Aslan.
Hi, Larry. Hi, everyone. Larry's making me use headphones like a newbie. I mean, seriously.
Yeah, because she was echoing in the green room, folks. She's just that British echo guy or gal. Oh, she's also our resident photographer for the peanut gallery, right? Great shots, by the way, Aslan, because I've used 2 of them on my last 2 videos with Chef Rachida. Yeah, very good.
Cool.
Very good.
Now I'll go mute myself again.
Next we have George Cohen. George is from sunny California, Mountain View to be more specific. Hi George, how are you?
Hey Larry, hey everyone.
Good to see you, buddy. Thanks for keeping the series going and by you being part of it.
This is fun.
And, yeah, good. And next we have the real George, or Baker George, George Sepich. Hey, George. And George is frozen, or he's not there, or something. Anyway, George is keeping tabs. Well, not keeping tabs, but he is baking right along with Chef Rachida. Every time from the starter to next week, George will be right along with her. Is he back? No, he's not back yet. Anyway, while we wait for George to come back, let's go right into the kitchen. And Chef Rachida, how are you?
Yes, I'm doing fine, and I'm excited to come back to finish what I started 2 sessions ago. So we're ready to start, right?
Yes.
Okay.
Pick up.
So what we have been doing for the last session is just building the starter. And for today, we're going to make this bread and use this starter. And like I said, if you were following the recipe from our website or just the events, you would build the starter. You would feed the starter twice before these moments. So I feed the starter. The volume of this one was all the way up to the green level. It went all the way to the red level, and it starts going down because it's ready for more food. So this is 400 grams of the starter. What it means, I have 200 grams of flour and 200 grams of water. So what we have here, a starter which is 100% hydration. What it means, for every 100 gram, we have 100. For every 100 gram water, for every 100 gram flour, we have 100 gram water. Sorry. So this is what we have now. Yeah, just like I'm losing it maybe. So we have the starter.
No problem.
We have the white flour. We have the dark flour, and we have the salt. And I have some water to wash my hand with. Just going to put it right here. So what we're trying to do, and I'm going to use the mixer to mix, no kneading. And I'm going to explain more when we're resting, when the dough is resting. So I have here the dark flour, and I believe I have 700 based on the recipe on the website. And the dark flour is basically the wheat flour and spelt flour, combination of both or one of them. And then I'm adding, I believe, 400 grams of the all-purpose American flour, all organic. So the 2 flours together, I'm trying just to mix them. So when we fold in, they're evenly distributed.
Sorry about that, Larry. Ever since I've been starting making the bread, the yeast fairies have been playing dirty practical jokes on me, and they disconnected me again.
Okay, so we're going to take our starter, or levain, sometimes we call it levain. And we have the water here. The thing is, I'm supposed to put the starter in the water, but since I have only one bowl, I'm just going to pour the starter here.
George, where are you in relation to what Chef Rachida is doing right now?
Well, I've got my, I have my starter, and I've been feeding it, and I've made several loaves of bread so far. So I've been feeding the starter and adding to it, and it's a hungry little booger. So I keep feeding it, and it's kind of like one of those gremlins. You just don't want to feed it like at midnight, and you gotta be careful. It turns into other things.
I'm just going to add this water to the starter, so I'm not losing anything. So my recipe is very accurate.
And for those of you who are just joining us, like Brittany M, this is part 3 of a 4-parter, and today it's all about the dough. Chef Rachida started to mix the ingredients, and once she mixes it, she's going to show us how to fold it and then store it for baking.
There's one, so I dump the flour, the starter, and the water. Normally you put the starter with the water to combine, to stir them together. Then you add the flour. I'm going to take a little bit of water from here because I forgot. I have my 20 grams salt here. It's basically sea salt or kosher salt. So I forgot to take the water from here. And I have a mixer. Normally, most of us, I'm just going to move this a little bit so you can see it. Most of us, you just have a big, strong spatula and you just stir it. But to speed up the process, I'm going to just mix it, no kneading. And I'm not even using the right dough hook. I'm just using the flat hook here.
All right. Well, while he's setting that up, let me just give a shout out to a few people in the peanut gallery out on the event stream. Malgany Atanucci, Jamal Assi, I think some other folks, Brittany M.
And this is very important. It's going to be a little bit loud. It's really 20 seconds. It's extremely important. I'm going to repeat it 3 times. 20 seconds. Okay. 20 seconds, no more. Because the moment the water meets the flour, the gluten will start to be existing. The protein from the wheat will promote the gluten strength. So we want to be gentle with gluten. It's easy to overwork the dough and make that gluten tough. And when it's tough, you just have to throw the dough and start from all over. So I'm just doing 20 seconds.
Now the best part of this, in my experience of the bread making, is it's no knead, because I'm not a kneady person, and I like the fact that it's no knead.
So I don't think it was 20 seconds, and we just want to not to see any water. We don't want to see any water. We don't want to see any flour. That's it.
Okay.
About the texture, and then we keep this dough somewhere between 25 minutes to 45 minutes, and then I will show you how we fold it. But we're going to fold it before that for the sake of the payment. So we don't leave the mixer. I did it to keep my hand clean and to make things faster. But I was gentle with the gluten, so I just stored it. I did not knead it. I even used the wrong hook. And you will see it, if you Google for this process, you will see they do the same thing. So I'm just going to clean up this hook because I don't need it.
Now, Chef Rachida, if you're not so gentle with the gluten, is there repercussions? What happens?
The gluten is going to be tough. You're not going to have that high volume in your bread. The texture is not going to be beautiful. and the flavor will not be promoted because it just, you kill it.
So the rule is be nice to gluten.
Yeah, extremely. If you learn anything from me, the number one rule, be nice with the gluten. You
Okay,
said
cool.
it, and thank you. That's very well said. So, so this is it. So it was not even 20 seconds. Okay, so I'm going to put it somewhere here, and then I'm going to try to answer questions, guys. And what I will have, the dough, a little bit of water, because I'm going to put my hand in the water to fold the dough, because it's a wet dough. And I'm going to try, you know what, for the sake of the demo, because this is glass, I'm going to put it in the glass so you can see. It's not
And for the water, you're using spring water. Is that correct?
spring water, yes.
Speaking of water, I'm drinking some good.
And this dough, this is my bread for the next 2 weeks.
Okay.
I always like using spring water. It's so bouncy.
Yeah, it's spring water because you don't want, because we rely on the natural bacteria we get from the natural yeast. You're the one who creates that yeast. You didn't go to the store and buy it. So you need clean water. Spring water is a clean water, so it doesn't have any chlorine, and it helps you the good bacteria to be developed. So I'm using this bowl scraper. They're kind of important because I'm going to use it to fold my dough.
Can we just move the camera ever so slightly to your left, Rachida, please?
Yes, Chef. Chef, the camera. You can reposition the camera slightly to your left, please.
That's it.
Yeah,
Perfect.
beautiful. Thank you.
Sure.
She didn't do that. It was the yeast fairies. They're just stirring up all sorts of trouble.
George.
George is on top form today, man.
Not a needy person. Great fun.
What I have here is my dough. I mixed just the flour. Let's repeat: the flour, water, and the levain or the starter. The salt I did not add it. This phase is called autolyse. We're trying to let the gluten to develop naturally because the time is our friend, and the time will take care of that. And the dough will let us know, now I'm ready to work with you, but I need time to relax it to develop gently. So we're letting the dough to do that. This is the salt. This is the water where I'm going to clean my hand, because you never want to put your hand in the flour to fold this. It's just going to be messy. The way they do it, so the professional baker, they have a bucket full of water where they dump their hand to fold the dough. And we're going to talk about this more. So let me sit down, show my face, so we can, if you have any questions, and I can describe what we're going to do. I'm sorry.
You can raise it up just a smidgen. Yeah, your head's cut off.
Now, to get around that problem, I always like to bring in a third hand, so I don't have to wash and stuff. It's all that third hand is always good to have.
It's fine. Okay, now it's.
Is that your blow up doll then, George?
No, I promise not to ever disclose that, Aslan.
And
you're
I'm going
supposed
to try
go
to
over
answer
some
questions. Yeah, go ahead.
I'm sorry. Sorry, folks. The Chef Rachida is having a little technical difficulties. It's snowing out there, and I think that's probably causing the snow gremlins to affect her Wi-Fi. Anyway,
no, yeast, not snow gremlins.
So anyway, Chef, you had some information you were going to cover.
Yeah. So
today, right?
the recipe I was following. I'm going to read it from because I just don't have a good memory. We use the starter, which is 400, and basically the starter I always put in 1-to-1 the flour to the water. Basically the hydration is 100% because for every 100 gram of flour we have 100 gram of water. So that is all 100% hydration dough. Then I add my flour, and I add my dough, and of course I'm going to add, the flour and the water. If you calculate the total of the flour by itself and the total of the water, and you do some calculation, you get the hydration. And I'm going to explain that how I'm doing it. For example, for this recipe, we have 1,300 grams of flour, because we have already 200 in the levain, and the 1,100 came from the whites and dark flour. So the total is 1,300 grams of flour. Then we have 900 grams of water, which comes from the 200 grams from the levain and the 700 grams from the water we add, just plain water. And if you take the 900 divided by 1,300, then multiply by 100, that will give you the baker scientifically hydration number. And for ours, it's 69.2. It's basically, to simplify it, it's 70%. So in artisanal bread wool, you do have just flour and water and salt, but also they always talk about hydration. So I hope what I said, it's clear. And I put everything I'm reading, I'm just reading the recipe, the post I put on my website. So
okay.
Okay, go ahead.
I just want to say, Chef.
Hold on, George. So, Chef, what you just recited there, that's on the website.
Yes.
As a new post, or is it in addition
No,
to the recipe?
Yeah, I just showing how.
It's always there. Okay.
How to total the flour, how to total the water,
Mm-hmm.
and then multiply them by 100, divide them, then multiply 100, and it gives you the number hydration, because those fancy bread baker, they always talk about my bread is 60% hydration, 70% hydration. We don't know how they do it. Since we know how much water we have in the starter, we can calculate how much water we have in the whole dough.
Okay. And folks, if you want to bake this bread, go to the event. There are links to Chef Rachida's recipe from start to finish, because this is a 4-parter we're doing. This is the 3rd installment of 4. Next week we'll have our 4th and final presentation from Chef, where she will be actually baking the bread. Okay, Chef. Back to you.
So that's I was explaining the recipe, and of course, if you want the hydration higher, you're going to change the water. But by the end, you should know how much hydration you have, and because you will have a different version for bread.
Okay.
Okay.
So the outcome of the bread all depends on the hydration level that you're gonna be incorporating. Okay. All right.
Okay.
So more hydration or more water means the dough will be tougher, and
well, it's going to relax. You're going to be gentle with the gluten.
Oh, right. Yes.
In the oven, it will rise. And also the slow fermentation, but because we allow slow fermentation, we're touching it for a few seconds, not a few minutes. And you let the time take care of that. So all of that will promote the flavor, the texture, the volume of the loaf of bread, and also the caramelization, which you see on the crust. It will help the crust of the dough to be dark and sweet. And you have naturally more sugar developed in this loaf of bread because you're following all these rules. A lot of water and slow fermentation. Do 2 things, a lot of water and slow fermentation.
Chef Rachida, I just wanted to say you've inspired me so much. I actually been going through so much flour. I went to Costco yesterday, and I got stone ground, 100% organic, unbleached, all-purpose flour that I'm using, 10 pounds, because I was going through the 5-pound too quick, and this was cheaper at Costco. And I'm working out and stuff, but and I'm going to treat the flour right. In fact, you know, like some people talk to plants, and they say that, you know, talking to plants helps. I found that if I talk to my flour sack, that the gluten responds, and it's like really likes it and makes better bread. So that's my tip of the day.
Okay, yeah, well, that's great. And you know what? Every time you adopt some new skills, and you apply them. And by the time you do all of that, you're going to have a wonderful bread. And when you go to your favorite restaurant or somebody else where you were eating the bread from, and you will say, "Wow, my bread is really great." And so you will see there is a difference between your bread and the bread.
You're supposed to for the camera.
So you will see it. You will see it automatically. So I think I've done with my lecture, and I'm just going through the things that kind of help me to make my bread, because really it's a lifestyle. And one of them is you really want to have a big bowl, and not only that, you want to be able to cover it. So I have a lid. It just happened I have a lid for this bowl here. The reason is the dough will dry out.
Mm-hmm.
The dough will dry out, and you want it to be covered. And if you can't, just get yourself a big plastic bag and I'm going to do it right now because it's very important to keep it away from the air. This is when we're going to store the dough in the refrigerator. So I just do something like this if you don't have a good lid. And okay, so that's one thing for the mixing bowl. And when we're going to bake this bread, I'm going to use my pots, and I'm going to explain what I'm doing with this pot here. And in general, people when they bake the artisanal bread, they're going to put it in the oven at a very high heat, and they're going to put it on a pizza stone in general. And they're going to spray with a little bit of water because it does give the bread a boost, and it will help to increase the volume of the loaf. But recently, people, and I'm sure you saw that everywhere, the bread in the pots. And so the one I have here, it's a ceramic. It's from Emily Henry. It's a French company, very well known. The lid closes nicely, so it's really nicely. It does close nicely on the pot. And this is the pot. So what normally I do when I'm ready to bake, I put the whole pot in the oven, empty, and I wait until 45 minutes later, and I put the bread for baking. We're going to show you that in the next session, but I'm just preparing you while I'm waiting for my dough to rest. And
I have a question.
Go ahead. Sure.
Can one use a Dutch oven in the event they don't have that ceramic?
Dutch oven, yes. I would recommend cast iron, the American regular cast iron, or Le Creuset. It's also a cast iron pot that is enameled, or a ceramic, not stainless steel, because I don't think it's hold the heat as much as these guys.
I have a question. I have a question from Jamal Asi. Jamal wants to know, Chef Rachida, do you suggest a method to conserve the bread fresh after being baked? He said back, but I'm sure he meant baked.
Yeah, I definitely have a good tip for keeping the bread fresh, especially in my situation. I eat only one slice a day, so when I bake the bread, I wait for a couple of hours until it cools down, at least not more than 100 degrees. Then I slice it and I put it in a plastic bag, just regular plastic bag, and I put it in the freezer. The moment it gets to the room temperature, it goes to the freezer, because the moment it gets to the room temperature, the bread starts aging. So if you eat it that day or the next day, it's fine. After that, it's not good. So I would rather slice it, freeze it, and when you're ready to eat it, take a piece, a couple slices from the freezer, and let it rest at room temperature for an hour. If you're in a hurry, you put it in a warm oven at 400, but please don't put it in the foil. I mean, people, they do that. Don't put it in the microwave. Just put it in a baking sheet and put it in a 350 and 400 degree oven until it's warm completely.
Oh, I have a quick question for you, Chef Rachida.
Sure.
I'm really enjoying the bread making process and everything, but the cleanup has been a little bit of a pain in the butt to me because all the dough and stuff is sticky, and I'll have things in a bowl, and it's like, man, I spend more time trying to clean up afterwards than the cooking sometimes. Is there any easy cleanup tips to getting all that sticky dough off?
Okay, yes. For example, the recipe, if you follow the recipe, you're going to get 2 kilos of dough. That's close to 4 pounds. That's a lot of bread. I would go for a lot of dough, like what we did today. And it would last you longer. So you clean only today, not every week. I would recommend you to do it every other week. Then, when I'm folding, I will show you how I'm doing it, and it's clean because I'm not going to put this dough on the counter at all. It's in the bowl. And actually, I could keep using the other bowl, but for the sake of the demo, I put it in a glass so you can see what's going on. But normally, you stir it in the first bowl, you fold it in the same bowl until, and you keep folding it 6 times. I'm going to go back and talk about that. You do it 6 times, and then you take it from that bowl and you shape it and put it in a clean bowl. But in this clean bowl, one ready to shape, I'm using what we call the flour sack towels, something you buy even from Walmart, and it comes in pack 5 of them. So it comes to less than $1. It's very thin, and this, I'll show you the size. So
we're doing the time travel thing again. The
same thing. So basically, you put this towel. You put a lot of flour. Your dough is very wet. Put it on the inside the bowl. Cover it and close the bowl very nicely and put it in the refrigerator for a day to even 3 days. So this bowl is not going to be messy at all. And this towel, once you finish, you just hang it. Don't clean it. Water and flour, they're fine. Just let it dry. Never wash it. Dry and use it again. So this guy is not going to clean. This guy is not going to never clean it. You never wash it with warm water.
Okay. I'm so glad you said that because I had like dough on the towel, and it was like I was trying to get it off, and it was like so hard. And
yeah, just let it dry and remove those big pieces.
Cool. Awesome.
Yeah. So you have only
actually that resonating. Wilma Storrell says, "Great tip for keeping the bread fresh and reheating it." Thank you, Chef Rachida.
Yeah, and you know that I learned it from when I was going to cooking school, and one time the teacher was saying, people, they love our bread, but they have no idea. We just take it from the freezer, we warm it, and we give it to them. And this is a fancy French restaurant in Washington, D.C. And then later when I go to those fancy French restaurants, because I like to go through all of them, because I need to be aware of the trend, and every time I ask, they would say the bread was transported from a different facility because it's difficult to bake the bread on the restaurant, especially artisanal bread. They need the experts, so they fly it from somewhere else, most of the time from New Jersey, and it comes to them frozen, and they have the instruction what to do with it. And there's nothing wrong with that. I would rather have that bread than the bread they baked yesterday, but it's just lousy.
Yeah.
Hey, Chef Rachida, I'm so glad you said to keep experimenting and keep trying, because just to follow up from last week, because I tried baking several loaves, and I tried different oven temperatures because a couple of them got overdone and they just weren't that great. And I told the seagull story at the end last week. I just want to follow up to that because some of the overdone bread, I wasn't going to eat it. I have my frozen lake outside my apartment, and I throw bread out to the seagulls and the geese and stuff. And a day after the show on Sunday, I threw out a couple of my loaves of bread just because I wasn't going to eat them. That wasn't perfect and stuff. And those seagulls and birds are starving out there, and they'll eat anything. I threw those loaves out there. There's still 2 loaves of my bread out there on the ice, and they haven't touched them. So it's like, I know I'm not seagull approved. It's like, I really messed up.
So not only do we have Chef Rashida's lessons continuing, we've got George Seppich and the birds.
Let's continue your journey, because it's a wonderful journey, and every time you bake that bread, you feel like you're entering a different phase in that baking skills. You're learning something and you feel proud about yourself, and it just, I don't know what is about bread baking all over the world. It's just people, one day they know what it is, they get hooked. I'm one of them. It's just something to remind us who we are, and it's just the most natural thing. It's the most Asian thing, and also in the same time we forgot it. And luckily, those professional people all over the world, they are reviving it. I'm so glad. And they, not only that, they give you how much water by weight, by gram, what's the temperature, how long. They give you for all the steps. So if you miss anything, you know where you mess up. Because you can't guess with them. You just don't. It's very precise scientific trait. So we're so lucky, because if it doesn't work, I would say, well, maybe I didn't measure the water, or the temperature. By the way, the temperature has to be always room temperature. I can go back to that another time. And there is also a reason why I put these events in 4 sessions, and I hope you understand that, because it allows you guys to take the skills with you, to think about what I said, if it makes sense, to do some of it, like George, what he's doing, and come back and then say, oh, okay, now I understand, and even have a couple questions. So the more we do it, the more you have questions, the more it sinks, the more your brain digests it, and it's wonderful.
Hey Larry, you're such a good friend of mine, and I know you've been protecting me, because I know I'm getting a lot of negative comments from seagulls in the post and on YouTube and stuff. So if you want to share any of those, that's fine. But I appreciate you not doing the full disclosure on how many negative comments on my bread.
I reckon he's such a good friend. You need to post him some of those dead bread the seagulls are eating.
And this is for George, this ball scraper. It's only like $1. It's plastic.
Cool.
So when you fold in the dough, it helps you to grab the dough to fold it. I'm going to use it. When you cut in the dough, instead of using the knife, it's kind of sharp enough to cut the dough. So it's worth it to buy it. It's like $1. Not
You know, I'm a marketer. You should put your logo on there, Chef Rachida bread scraper, and this, and market those.
Yes. Well, I love a little bit the gadgets, but when I find something working for me, I'm excited to share it with people, because not only it's a nice thing, but hopefully it will make the project easier. That's one of the reasons, So I normally wait 20 minutes to 40 minutes. It depends on the texture of the dough, and I'm going to talk about that later. Larry, you want to say something before I show you how we fold?
No, you go ahead.
Okay.
Go ahead and fold. Yeah.
Okay, I'm going to stand up. Hopefully you can see what's important.
Reminds me of the Kenny Rogers song, you got to know when to fold them.
So I have to remember that to not forget the salts. So it's very important to put everything in front of you, because I've done it before. I really did forget the salts. So I'm going to add the salts, 20 grams of salt with a little bit of water.
Chef Rachida, is salt a necessary ingredient? Does it actually, I mean, before, outside of the taste, does it actually have anything to do with the baking process?
Yeah, I had the same question, actually.
Yeah, I don't want to be, I don't know. I know it has the flavor, but I don't know if it helps the bacteria. It's just the bacteria does not like it very much, so we don't
I know I've read before to add the salt later than earlier on because the salt can interfere with the gluten process. I do know that, but I wasn't sure.
Yeast also, it's interfered with yeast. But let me read like everybody because all I know is for the flavor for the moment. So okay. I can use only one hand, and then I have this one. Let's see. I have a fancier ball scraper, of course. So I'm just going to grab it with my hand. So basically folding, you go in the middle, in the bottom of the dough, and you grab one side, and you see the dough is nicely, I did not need it, and you did see that. And it's just, I don't need to fight with it. So right. I'm grabbing it, I'm folding it. And because the dough is small, so I just grab it like this, and let the weight of the dough, and I'm just folding it like this.
Now this might be a question for another show because it might be too complicated. But I'm curious. I'm interested in taking your recipe and making it into like a sourdough bread. Is there a way to make it sourdough?
Yes, you can. So I'm just here. You see, and if I continue folding, the dough is starting to be fighting with me. Then I just step away. That's enough. And I leave it for 20 minutes. That's it. 20 seconds. You want to be gentle because the time is the one who's doing the work, not you. Not me.
I think that could be your tagline. Don't fight with the dough. Be gentle to the gluten.
Yeah. Oh, I'm sorry. I am doing it the wrong way. Yeah, okay, sorry. Right. So you see what I did? It's 20 seconds. So we mix the flour and the water. And now 20 seconds. That's it. But the problem here,
that's it.
Yeah, the problem is you have to stay home at that day. So between those 20 minutes or 40 minutes, you have to be at home, or you'll be doing, of course, hopefully you would be doing something. When I'm making my bread, I'm always involved with other projects, so I'm just there for a few seconds to fold it, first of all, to stir the whole thing, fold it 6 times. And sometimes I wait 20 minutes, sometimes 40 minutes, because if I touch the flour, the dough, and it's not cooperating, I just give it another 10 minutes or 20 minutes. As long as the room temperature is not too high, because it's going to slightly rise. And that's natural. But if it rises too fast, that means your room temperature is too high. Put it in the refrigerator to bring the temperature of the dough down a little bit. Because
when you're raising the dough, do you just put it like air temperature? Do you try to put it on a warm oven, or is there any?
No, absolutely not. I always want to keep between 65 degrees, which is quite cold, to 75. No, I don't want because I want slow fermentation. I don't want any fermentation right now. All I'm asking the dough to be relaxed. I fold it. I'm giving the time the dough to relax, and I'm going to come back because it's going to be relaxed. It's going to allow me to fold it, and suddenly it's going to be glossy. Shiny, it's just wonderful dough. And at that time, after you've done all of this, you split it in 2-3 loaves. You may do one loaf, a giant one, like you see in Paris, but that would be too much for the pot I have. So this one, normally I split it in 3 portions. So I will have a loaf of like 1.5 pounds, or 3/4, 1 pound 3/4, almost 2 pounds each, and but way less than 2 pounds. And then I bake one at a time. So that's where you're going to see me. I'm folding it for the last time, and I'm going to put it in the refrigerator. But in the same time, so I will have a baked loaf. So we cut it, we see what's inside, and hopefully, George, by then, you follow the full recipe and you have other questions or another adventure.
Cool. I love adventures. I'm game.
Okay. Well, on that note, folks, I think we're going to call it a day or an afternoon, depending on where you are. Chef
If
Rachida will be.
people in Australia, it might be like morning or something.
Yeah, those sorry folks down there. Anyway, Chef Rachida will be back next week, Saturday, same time, 2 p.m. Eastern, and she will be wrapping up the series. She will be basically showing us how to bake it, right, Chef
Yeah,
Rachida?
that's it. That's it. And hopefully
Okay.
by then you have questions. Yep.
Right. If there are questions during the week, you could forward them to Chef Rachida. I will have the event created and posted by Monday of this week coming. So the event will be on next Saturday, which is what's the date next Saturday? The 28th, the end of the month.
Woo-hoo.
Right. Yeah. So that's easy to remember.
Chef Rachida, I'm going to try to become a bread wizard under your tutelage, and I already have my staff here. So
Yeah, I'll be following you instead of me following
all
you.
right, cool.
Hang on, George. Hold it up. Hold it up, George. Hold it up. That's it. One more time.
Oh God.
That's it. You got it.
From a baker to a wizard. Anyway, folks, thanks for joining us. I want to thank Aslan and George, not the real George, the real George Sepich, George Cohen, and of course Chef Rachida. As always, a pleasure.
Thank you.
Great show, great demonstration, and you gave us some great tips.
Oh, the
So,
East Fairies gave me a hat, by the way.
And the East Fairies gave George a hat. Wear it next week. So, see you guys next week. Larry Fournillier from Trinidad and Tobago saying goodbye and happy baking.
Thank you.